What's going on, everybody? It's another episode with your boys of the D.B.A.B. Podcast. Today is Wednesday, February 15th. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to the show. We got a great show today, recapping the Super Bowl. Great Super Bowl. We'll talk about some of the commercials that we saw, favorites, non-favorites, stuff like that, amongst other topics that we got that we will discuss as well. Again, we will bring back our Be the Light series and see what we have done this week to be good people. And then, of course, we are going to give updates on what is going on with our respective lives and sports. But again, welcome back to the DBAB podcast. It's your boys. It's time to go. All right. Like I said, this is the DBAB podcast. Follow us on Twitter. We are on YouTube as well, and anywhere else that you get podcasts from, Apple, Spotify, all the above is where you can find the DBA podcast. Boys, welcome to another show. Um, like I said in the intro, a lot of great stuff to talk about, um, all that good stuff. But does anybody have anything for our segment of Be the Light? Anybody do something good this week that they would like to share?
I always, I take pride in um, be be the reason why somebody feels like somebody today. So
Mhm.
I would say, um, I mean, I hate talking about myself, but we have a guy that's we work with that has he's having a rough. Easy, Cletus. We we have a guy we have a guy here that's losing his dog. He's gonna have to put him down,
Mm.
and it's kind of rough because I'm a big dog fan because I have my dog. She's my life, so I understand how he's feeling, and he's gonna have to put him down, or he already did, and I was hurt and he was struggling that day. I went up and just gave him a hug, and I said, "Man, I'm here for you, proud of you, love you. Let's move on." And I didn't think anything of it. I was just being me. I go around and call people stud reels all the time. But he texted me later that night and he goes, "You don't know how much that hug meant to me. I really needed it, especially after this day." So,
Mm.
I mean, that's a moment that I guess I could say I was the light for somebody's dark day. And that's the point of this whole thing, be the light. You got to make a chain reaction and be the light for somebody, make them feel special, and maybe they will pass it on to somebody and let them feel special, and we create a chain reaction, uh,
Mhm.
the way to make the world a better place.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. Sometimes we don't realize like little actions that we do, how they can have a profound effect on others that we don't even realize or anything like that. So that's why it's good to do the nice and do little things by people, what I mean, and with a good heart and good manners because you just don't know what people are going through. So that's good. It's always tough to lose your pet, man. So
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
I'm a dog guy too. So, when that day comes,
and a
it's gonna be
cat,
tough.
and a
And a cat.
hamster,
Yeah.
No,
and a
no,
He's a
pig.
hamster?
No, just
no,
Oh,
no.
he.
okay. So, whoa.
If
Just a
his
dog
mama
and a cat.
if his mama calls him and says I have a hamster for him, he's not going to turn it away.
I'm definitely turning down the hamster.
You're a liar.
I'm definitely turning down the hamster. So, Cobbs, you mentioned something earlier about maybe having something for the Be
And
the Light segment this week.
no,
Not to put you on the spot, but
it's no, you're good. Like I don't know. Let's save it for next week, just because that's when it'll be done deal. I guess you could say. You know what I'm saying? But just kind of highlight on it. I got two twin baseball players that they've been with me since they were freshmen. Great kids. Love them like my own. I mean, basically I take care of them every day. They got a big family, split
right.
household type thing. So like, I mean, I take care of them almost every day. But they're going through a rough time right now as a family. A family member's hurt and whatnot, so they're going through a rough time. So we're gonna do something at our first game on Monday. That'll it'll be a good segment for next week for
Okay,
sure.
perfect. Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing that next week, and hearing about it afterwards. Like you said, it was on Monday, so we'll get to hear all about it and stuff like that. Adam, do you have anything this week for Be the Light?
I didn't do anything spectacular this week, believe it or not.
What a
That's fine.
jerk!
That's fine. Hey, I do have to give a shout out to your other podcast. Was it the AC Square podcast?
Oh yeah,
Listened to it a couple of times last week.
good stuff.
And listened to y'all's Shout out to y'all's podcasting group. I thought y'all had a really good episode last week talking about leading into the Super Bowl. So
Yeah, good talk.
looking forward to it was good. It
We
was a good
we
talk.
appreciate that.
Yeah,
Shout
looking
Shout out,
forward
no
to your
free
next
shout
episode.
outs.
So yeah,
And now you just need to shout us out on your podcast.
yeah.
I'll give you a shout out. We'll take turns calling each and every one of you in as well. We got a thing that works, the Bluetooth in, so it'll be like around the horn style stuff. So just give me a day whenever works better for y'all. We usually go on Thursdays.
Mhm.
Thursdays for everybody. New episodes come out on Thursdays because I'm with my other boys on Wednesdays.
Okay, I got you. That's
We
cool,
got a
man.
shout
Yeah,
out right there.
yeah, I appreciate it. So, obviously, Adam has his podcasting group, and of course, he's here with us. So, like, as we both build our podcasting brands, I'm sure we'll be able to dab in each other's, invite each other's groups into our own podcast and vice versa, and kind of help build each other up. So we're excited for that, um, and whatnot. But and then for me, be the light this week. I don't really have anything that really sticks out, and I'm not going to try to BS my way through a story. Not to make that sound bad. I
So
just
proud
have
of you.
well, I'm just
I'm
being
so
real
proud of
here.
you.
That's
Just
a
being
great be the
real
light moment right there. You're not
here.
gonna BS it. You're not gonna
Don't
BS
be
being a good person.
light.
I'm not going to fabricate some story that has.
You can't BS
And
the
it's early
BS.
in the week too. Early in the week too. So
Yeah, you
we'll
better
see
get one by Friday. I'm gonna hold you to that.
Yeah, I'll try. I'll try. Maybe my be the light was winning our district game on Friday. Being a good person.
Sure, let's go.
But anywho, all right. So switching gears here now to again get into our segment now where we are talking about um, updates of the week for us. So I'll start because usually I defer and try to be the last, but I'll get us going today. We're talking about some Sealy Tiger football, aka soccer for all of us Americans here. The Tigers have district play. We started off 5-0. I mean, excuse me, we started off with a 5-0 win. It'd be nice if we started off 5-0. And then we lost in a penalty shootout to our arch rivals to the north last Friday, so that was not very good. But against one of the better teams in our district last night, we beat them in a penalty shootout, which was exciting for us and our team. So sitting pretty good. I think we are third in district right now with 7 games to go. We play again Friday against the top team in our district in Navasota, the Rattlers. Um, we're going to need to bring our big boy pants and play really, really well, or things are not going to go well for the Sealy Tigers. That's all I got to say on that one.
Ooh, that's a threat from Coach Curtin, boys.
I got
Yeah.
faith in old Coach Curtin. I have him ready.
I'll have faith in the boys too because they usually play up to moments when, they always play up to the moment when they need it to. Um, but we'll see how they respond. It is a home game on Friday under the lights at 7:15, so that should all help. And it's a good team we're playing, so they'll be up for the task.
Bring the juice. Bring the
We will bring the
juice.
juice. Hashtag fill the meals. So,
Feel the
anywho,
meals.
well, because our stadium is called TJ Mills Stadium.
Oh, gotcha.
So like I call it like fill the mills to try to get a lot of people to go in there. But we get a decent crowd for soccer games. I would say we average about, it doesn't sound a lot, but I would say 50 people, give or take. It might be more or less, whatever, but it's decent crowds for a soccer
Still
game.
more than baseball.
Wow.
Hey, now you say that. You can Sunday.
Wasn't gonna say anything.
That I don't think I've ever seen a high school soccer game in my life.
Hey man, you're missing out. They're pretty entertaining.
Yeah,
I
they're
don't
pretty
think I have
good.
either, for the
Especially if
truth.
the teams are good, so they're pretty
But
entertaining.
everywhere I've been, we've never had soccer. So
Well,
Maybe the next opportunity
It's
you
such a
will
popular
have some.
sport in this part of the state.
oh yeah, it's the world's game.
Yeah, it is. For sure. Anywho, Jack Cleet, powerlifting news. Your last meets. I know Cletus. You said y'all set up and had a meet last Saturday, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
How did that go for the Lions?
It was good, man. We had some freaking really good turnout. Saw a lot of kids compete and saw totals going up. And one of our better lifters, she had probably one of the worst meets of her life. But the shining part of it, this is in it's kind of why we all four of the five of us got into what we do. right? It's that like light bulb excitement moment of a kid like hitting a PR or doing something they haven't done in their life yet. You
Right.
know, we had girl was struggling with 300 all year, finally pulled 300 deadlift. Then we had three or four other girls behind her pull 300, and our last girl pulled 305. And so that rack was just like one after the other, and the more girls that were pulling 300, the louder that rack got because our girls were freaking cheering each other on. It was a pretty cool moment that you see it that just like they each got excited for the other one being successful, you know,
Absolutely.
and you know, I think it's great, man. We had a ton of help from the community of Ozona, and we were able to pack up, tear down within about an hour and a half, which is huge
Impressive. That's impressive.
because it takes a lot of people to run a freaking powerlifting meet efficiently.
Right.
And so, like I said, the kids did awesome. Our community was very gracious in letting us host this thing, and our community kind of showed out and were able to help run this thing off smooth. And so I was very proud of our kids and proud of our community, proud of our school for doing something pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
the biggest meet Ozona's thing I think has ever hosted,
Wow.
and so it was good, man. It was awesome.
Good. Exciting times there for the Lions of Ozona, right? Awesome. That's good news to hear. So congratulations on y'all to be able to have put on a meet and then have your kids do well and all that stuff. It warms the heart when you see your kids go out there and battle compete and then they do things right. They're setting PRs or scoring goals or hitting home runs or whatever the case may be. So all that good. Jack, any updates on the Terrell Lions powerlifting crew?
Easy. We're not the Terrell Lions, first off.
Líneas,
We're the
Sorry, Terrell
Tigers.
Tigers. Sorry.
tigres.
um, no powerlifting meets last week. We got some the next 2 days. We're pretty busy. We had the great opportunity to. We have a great opportunity to have our younger cats, young cat, get it, Tigers, cats. Anyway, so they get to compete. They get to compete in another meet that they usually don't get to. Because it's normally our older guys and the guys that we know we're counting on to get us to compete. So tomorrow we have one. We're going to go to good old Maybank, America, and throw some weight around with the younger cats. And then Friday we're going to community, and throw some more weight around. But like Cleve said, that's awesome about your powerlifting meet, man. I know a lot of work goes into that stuff, and you get real excited when you hear people do powerlifting meets. And I'm not about hosting them. I'd rather go lift the weight and leave,
Right.
But so it's real good. I mean, like I said a long time ago when I got here, powerlifting was just something they did after they called it after school, and they lifted after school, did the lifts, and then went home. And now we have kids that want to go out and compete for their name in the city or the town. So that's a plus. And right now we have a good amount of kids. I know Martinez. I'm shouting out the girls powerlifting team right now, and he's doing a heck of a job with those girls. They want to go out and compete. And I know tomorrow they're going to community while we're at Maybank. I'm taking a boys and girls team, and he's taking a girls team.
Mm.
So we got literally 4 teams competing in the next 2 days, and that's a plus for Terrell.
That's
That's
good.
good stuff.
Amen.
So proud of them, and can't wait to see what they do. So that's what's
Amen.
going on in the world of Terrell Tiger powerlifting.
Yes, that, and I would say I do apologize to the Terrell Tigers. They are not the Terrell Lions. They are the Terrell Tigres, just like the Sealy Tigres. But that's good. That's exciting. It's good. We've talked about it before, um, but that's all good stuff, especially to get them kids to buying into it and believing into it and loving it, all that kind of good stuff. All right, Cobbs. How about those Terrell Tiger baseball players? How are we looking like? How your scrimmages have been going?
Man, we had this week started off fast, man. We had a scrimmage on a Monday. Usually try to do them on Tuesdays. A lot of kids get there, whatever. But Started off Monday. Went over to South Garland, had a good old scrimmage. Pretty impressed with what I see. Bunch of young kids stepping up. Had a couple freshmen, played them on the varsity with us, had a scrimmage just to throw them in the fire and see what they would do against some varsity talent. And they impressed. I mean, one of the freshmen, he went 2 for 3 at the plate. And he had two. Both of them were hard hit singles. One was a single scored a dude from second. So that was exciting to see. And as a whole, hitting wise, I mean, I don't even know what the score was with the scrimmage, but it was definitely a lot to a little. We hit the ball really well. My leadoff, one of my best players, one of the better players we got. He was 4 for 4 he was 3 for 3, and he was a home run shy of the cycle at a scrimmage.
wow.
So it was nice to see him come alive and do what we know he can do. And he's just a hard worker type guy. But after that, the pitching staff was the next highlight. I mean, I think we threw, with scrimmages, I usually only let the guys pitch 25, 30 pitches tops, usually an inning, and they're done. And we had a combined, one hit for, I think we played like 8 innings. So I was, very pleased with that. And we definitely limited our walks, which, we baseball guys know walks will kill you. Walks will definitely lose you ball game real fast. So it was nice to see that we're throwing lots of strikes and getting outs and everything else. So I think we're on the right track. I think, I'm excited, keep everybody healthy and rested. And I think, hopefully we can surprise some people in our tough district that we got put in 5A this year. That's the goal. Friday got our next scrimmage, and then, then it's into the opening game of the season. On Monday against Greenville at our house, we're going to open it up and,
Let's
try to start the season off 1-0.
Yes, sir. That's exciting. It's always exciting in baseball when you have your dudes, like, even in scrimmages, still going off and producing and stuff like that. 'Cause it feels like that's the type of sport that stuff carries over into the next game and whatnot. So it's exciting for the Terrell Tigers baseball program. Have a dude fall short of the cycle by just a home run, and then you good arms, and then, like you said, walks are never good. As being Yankees fan, walks are terrible. And definitely lost them a bunch of games last year. So maybe they'll fix that shit too this year. So up there in the Bronx. So
They won't.
they won't. No, I know they won't. So, and then like the news today out of the Bronx was like the guy they traded for the deadline, Montes from like the A's, is going to miss all season with the surgery. So that's just great.
Oh, that's
Great trade by Cashman.
I feel so bad about the Yankees. It's awful.
Hey,
Well, you know what? You can SND.
Hey, what's the deal? I saw Aaron Judge working out at first base the other day.
Well,
what is that about?
No comment. I don't know. I have no idea. He's probably gonna have to play all 9 positions for him this year at one point. So.
Dude's also 6'8", however big he is. He can play any position you put him in.
Yeah,
he's a freak.
That's right. He can still choke in the playoffs.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm excited for baseball to come. MLB baseball. So.
Yes, sir.
Yankees, daddy.
Yeah. Okay. Next topic. Anyways, we'll see what it's like this year with no Maryland and stuff like that. Shoving up the rest. But Adam, how is the world of logistics and furniture moving? I forgot I had given you a fancy title. I said the DFM. That was the director of furniture moving. So how's that going?
It's going pretty smooth. We hadn't had a lot going on. I haven't been there since Thursday, but as far as I know, the building hasn't burned down yet. So
that's good. I forgot you went out of town and you got to go to a special place and have fun for the Super Bowl. So
I did.
Did you put all your money on black?
No, I didn't, but I did lose some money throwing some dice.
Did you win?
Hey, how was that, by the way, that weekend?
It wasn't as busy as you would think, but it was like the places to watch the Super Bowl were busy and like super expensive. You had to buy like packages just to watch the game. You couldn't just like walk up to them. And like all the sports books, I walked by it at like 8 a.m. just to go see. And people were already sitting down, like saving seats to watch them at the sports book because that was like the only place that was free to watch the game. Mm-hmm. And every hotel there has a sports book. So every single one of them was busy. A dude I was sitting by at the Super Bowl party I was at said that he stood in line at the sports book for 2 hours just to place a bet.
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, think about this. Next year when it's in Vegas, how expensive all that stuff's going to be.
I mean the prices don't fluctuate as much because it's already expensive. Like one beer there is like $15, so it doesn't really matter. And like
That's
a
why you
double of
gamble.
anything is like $36. So well, even if you gamble, they try to bring you as slow as
Free.
possible. Well, they are free, but they try to bring them to you as slow as
Right.
possible. And by then you've already lost a lot of money. But one thing that they do there that I didn't know is you walk around with beer. So you could bring beer from your own hotel room. You can just walk around with it. You know, they don't care. You walk into a Target with the beer. None of that is frowned upon over there. So, and drinking a beer at 7 a.m. is also not frowned upon over there.
Yeah.
So
Can't drink all day.
the
if you don't
casinos
start
are closed for like 2 hours, and every day close at like 5 a.m. and they reopen at 7 a.m. So you'd be surprised on how many people are out there till 5 a.m. and turn around and come back at 7.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, especially when you're hot and you're freaking hitting.
Oh man, yeah. But I mean, it's the views. I mean, the views itself is like a super nice place. You know, obviously the Bellagio, Caesar's Palace, all those places.
Right.
I mean,
Dang, you went swanky, huh?
we didn't
Caesar
stay
really
there. We didn't stay there, but we
Oh,
just
okay.
because every hotel has a casino and their own bars in it. So, and it's not like
Where'd y'all
normal
stay?
hotels. You can't you walk in there. We stayed at Excalibur.
Oh, nice. That's a nice place, man.
Yeah,
not
it's a
bad.
little bit further from the Bellagio and stuff, but it was there like $5-6 because they get so many fares in a day. But I'll tell you what, their Uber system is whack. Anybody who's from Vegas, listen to this. Y'all's Uber system is whack.
Wow.
They don't pick you up on the side of the road like they do here. Like you have to go
Right.
to an Uber pickup, and if you're not there within like 2 minutes, they'll leave you and still charge you.
You know you can buy like a train pass like for the day or the weekend
Yeah.
in that train that runs up and down the strip.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just hard because sometimes the train drops you off at like train stations. They don't take you like exactly where you want to be. So like if you want to go to the Bellagio, they'll drop you off, and then you want to see the fountains, you know, all that other stuff. But you do just pretty much that you get dropped off in one section and you walk like 7 miles.
Yeah, walking. We went during the summer and walking. Like we walked the whole strip, and it was crazy long. But
Yeah,
you got to walk it to see everything, you know. Because
Yeah.
and you still don't see everything.
Yeah, and you still don't see it. Like there's all kinds of stuff. Like I know one of the cool things. I don't know if y'all saw it, but the Taco Bell, you can go get a Baja Blast and add alcohol in it.
Yep, the cantina, Taco Bell cantina.
Ooh,
Dude, and you
nice.
can, like he was saying, you can walk up and down the street with them, and like you can, it's almost like an Eskimo hut. You can add however many shots you want into it and stuff like that. Like
Yeah, they got like beer specials over there. You buy 2 tall boys, you get a little shooter for free.
Wow.
Like that's basically their whole goal. They got necklaces for like a margarita that's so big that you wear that they have a necklace for it. Like it holds itself up. Yeah, it's ridiculous some of the things that you see out there.
I will second that though. That place will take a lot of money on you, and that's not even gambling. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm excited. I'm jealous too because I've never been. I want to go.
Hey,
Boys,
in my life, so.
hey,
we're going for one person only. No, we're going for one thing only, and that's one thing only, and that is the Grizzly and Grizzly Bears bachelor party. That's the only way I'm going. Only way.
No, we need to take a boys. Anyways, you can get some good flights.
I agree.
Hey, we can all meet in Vegas for a podcast, the D.B.A.B. Podcast Vegas edition.
Oh,
I'm in. I'm all in.
We could do a collaboration podcast with the AC Squared too, so we're all there.
Yeah, we could all be there.
I'm in.
Let's do it.
Hey,
don't hate it.
You're in nowhere because you're about to have a little baby.
Hey,
yeah, well, I gotta have a break too. All right.
Baby
I don't think that's how that works.
Baby cakes can watch the kid for a weekend.
Yeah, I mean we can figure it out.
Memorial Day weekend.
Hey, I'm in. I mean, hey, the baby ain't gonna be here then, so we can do it. We can make it happen. I'll just give her a couple $100. She can go shopping and do whatever she wants all weekend and buy stuff for the kid. And I'll have a couple $100, go to Vegas, and we'll be all right.
A couple $100? Yeah, a couple $100 in Vegas ain't gonna do that.
We'll call the AC Squared agent.
Don't spill the beans.
Anyways, good times. Well, yeah, we definitely got to plan that. Definitely for the Grizzlies, bachelor party will definitely be held in Las
Yeah,
Vegas.
butcher that.
Um,
Yeah.
well, I'm talking with slang on it, right? But anywho, all right.
Shout out to
Switching gears
Grizzly.
now. Yeah, shout out to the Grizzly, right? All
Y'all
that
are
good stuff.
dumbasses.
Anyways, shout now. Heading on to the next topic now is our period of enlightenment. Now is this is kind of inspirational motivation of the week that we've come across. This week, Cletus and Jack are wouldn't say responsible, but this is their segment this week. So, fellas, whoever would like to go first, you may go now.
All right. So kind of talking about like the kid success. I was kind of doing some reading and kind of looking through some stuff, and the Navy SEALs have a lot of like really really good stuff, just because they're an elite organization, and this is probably one another really good quote from theirs. It says, "Under pressure, you don't rise to the occasion; you sink to your training." And that's why like the SEAL stuff is so hard, and they emphasize all that stuff being so hard is because when crap hits the fan, when you're a SEAL, you don't rise to the occasion; you sink down to your bare minimum training. And thinking back, like with our kids' success, a lot of that stuff goes back to just it's those early mornings of just training and doing stuff intentionally to be successful. You know, and that's one of those things. The yesterday today, I was my kids are working, and I'm kind of just thinking about. I saw we had the segment. I'm thinking, I couldn't remember the quote, and I looked it up, and I'm like, that's it, right? And I think all of us, when pressure comes, it's what you were taught when you were young is what you go to. Especially like in your job or your profession. If you were lucky enough and fortunate enough to, you know, be taught by someone you trust, you're gonna sink and you're gonna sink to what you know and what your training is. You know, and so that just kind of like hit me, and I really like enjoyed that quote, man.
Yeah, that was, I saw you put it in our little Google sheet thing, and I was looking at it, and it makes so much sense. Yeah, I didn't know where you got it from, but um, when you think about it, like for our kids and stuff like that, when they're put into a situation where they're tired, like football, they're tired and they're mentally exhausted and stuff like that. Like, what do they usually? What kind of mindset they get into? And they get into that survival uh, kind of mindset where they just do anything just to survive and stuff like that. But it's interesting because the Navy SEALs, obviously, instead of rising to an occasion like what people think happens, it's just that training that they get that kicks in from them doing it repetitively all the time. So I thought that
Mhm.
was pretty cool. So good little share there, Cletus. Um, and Jack, you got anything to follow up on that, sir?
I can't match the Navy SEALs because they always do some good stuff. But something that stuck out to me this week was by a quote by good old Joe Duncan. Any guy named Joe is pretty good, right? It says if you're going to quit anything, quit being lazy, quit making excuses, and quit waiting for the right time. I think that nails it on the head for a lot of situations we're in. Just quit making excuses. Just go out and do it. I mean, you say you're gonna go run 2 miles, go run 2 miles. Quit talking about it, be about it. You're gonna go lift 225 on the bar, quit talking about it, be about it. And the name, I think we make a lot of excuses for things and say quit. Quit talking about it and let your actions speak louder than your words is a quote we like to talk about all the time. But I thought that was perfect. Don't wait for the right opportunity because no opportunity is right. It just happens when it's supposed to. I
Amen.
think that nailed it on the head.
Amen. Amen. That was good. Yeah. It's just kind of that's like when I think about me taking the next step, football wise, and I'm sure we'd all be in similar situations when go from that next phase of being assistant to a coordinator. You want everything to line up correctly and be all the stars align and feel like you're ready for that next move, but we'll never be ready for it. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be something that once you get it, you'll just learn as you go on it. Like you know what I mean, you can't. It won't be perfect. We try to make it be perfect, but it won't be perfect. But at least for
Fact.
me. But
Fact.
Just dive in head first and sink or swim.
You know,
yeah, and then
Quit
learn.
making excuses. Quit waiting for the right time. Good Joe
Yes.
Duncan said that.
Joe Duncan, wise words there, my friend. All right, good segment there as always. Our period of enlightenment. So thank you, Cletus and Jack, for sharing. And now we'll move to our lights, camera, action segment. This is where all the debate's going to go on, sports takes going to go on, all the good stuff, and hopefully what is going to what makes our podcast go boom. But first, what we're going to do is we're going to recap and kind of give our thoughts about Super Bowl was it 57 between the Chiefs and the Eagles. And before we begin, I actually did some homework, so
got a
surprised
baby
myself to do some
statistician.
homework. Yeah, some of them is stats, so you shouldn't be too surprised when I went through and did my Super Bowl recap. Obviously, the score was the Chiefs 38, Eagles 35. Uh, and then I went and did game stats of like Mahomes, everybody. So I don't know if
Hey,
you want to hear all that stuff, but go ahead, please.
real quick, who picked the Chiefs in our group? Adam, what was your score, Adam?
Adam and I.
I don't remember.
Hold
28
on,
to
hold on.
35 or something.
I'll tell you
Hold on.
something.
Here, I can pull it up right now.
Yeah, I have it right here. So Adam picked the Chiefs 38-28. I had Chiefs 31-24, and then
Hey,
the rest
I got
of y'all
one number
picked the
right.
Eagles.
Better than no number.
Vegas, so it didn't count.
So Adam was closer, but he and I both picked the Eagles. I mean, the Chiefs. Excuse me.
Okay, I was just curious. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, it was pretty close. Anyway, so like I went through and I looked at the stats of the game. You know, like Mahomes actually threw the ball pretty well. He didn't get a ton of yardage. He only had 182 in the air with 3 touchdowns. What's the running back's name? Pacheco.
Pacheco.
I thought he ran the ball pretty well. He averaged about 6 yards a carry compared to um, the Eagles as a team. They rushed for 3.6 yards a carry. So that
Dang.
Chiefs defense kind of that came to play a little bit. Um, except Hurts, I think Hurts is going to be a special player in the league, and he's so young, and I think he's just going to get better. But he had 304 in the air, he had 70 yards on the ground with 3 touchdowns. Of course, Kelsey had a touchdown as well. So good thing there. Now, our facts from last week. I had mentioned the thing about the coin toss and how the last 8 teams who had won the opening coin toss lost, and the Chiefs broke that this past Super Bowl. So
They broke
that
3 things, correct?
well, I think so. Yes, they did in a way. Mahomes was also the first NFL player since '99 to win both the league MVP and the Super Bowl MVP in the same season. And then Mahomes was also the first quarterback to lead the league in passing yards, make the Super Bowl, and win the Super Bowl. The previous 6 quarterbacks to achieve this feat lost in the Super Bowl. So the previous 6 quarterbacks to lead the league in passing yards, make Super Bowl, all lost. So it's kind of crazy. And then teams leading by double digits at halftime of the Super Bowl were 26-1 entering the Super Bowl this past Sunday. Anybody want to guess the one team who lost first?
Yeah,
The
the Atlanta
Falcons?
Falcons.
The Falcons, yes.
I thought it was
26
I was going to say the
26-33.
Whammies. I was going to say the Whammies.
Whammies.
The
it was-
Whams.
It was the Falcons.
Whams.
Yes, thank you. The Falcons. And then after the Super Bowl on Sunday, the record is now obviously 26-2. Okay. And the last thing here, for those 30-second commercials that we'll talk about here in a second, it was about $7 million a pop for those commercials.
7 million?
Hey, you
Yeah.
forgot the most important stat of the day. I'm
What's
I'm
that?
very disappointed in you, running back coach. The O line for the Chiefs did not
Oh,
give
I
up
did.
a
Yeah,
sack.
yeah. Okay, yes, I do have it.
When
on
they
my
were
sheet.
all we talked about was the O line for the
Yes.
Eagles, and the Chiefs did
sir.
not give up a sack. You forgot that
That's true.
stat. I'm very disappointed in you.
Put it
Yeah, I
on
have
a
it.
fucking shirt.
I know. I actually have it written right here below on my screen. It says Kansas City offensive line 0 sacks given up.
Trenches need love too.
I
Amen.
know this
Amen.
though.
Love.
Travis. Oh, sorry, go man.
I said to give the O line guy some love in the trenches. Yeah, there was 1 sack in the game, but it was a scramble. that they counted as a sack that really he got like a half-yard loss. Like, so in my mind, there was no sacks in the Super Bowl at all. Like, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yes,
Really.
But the
top,
the Kansas City
talking
one is more
about-
impressive
Oh.
because of how much they bigged up the
Yes.
Eagles.
They were
Line.
leading. They led the Eagles led the sacks like in the season and the career. They were like number 3 of all time behind the '85 Bears. You know who the
Hey.
'85 Bears
Hey,
are?
Frank Clark was
Sanders
2
and-
sacks away from breaking the most postseason sacks. So technically, they had the better defensive player. Don't try that.
I'm talking about team defensive line wise. That's what
I
I'm
was
talking
saying-
about. They led the league in sacks this
Chris
year.
Jones.
Both teams had good defensive linemen, but the Eagles' defensive linemen were more highly touted coming into the Super Bowl based on personnel and what they had produced during the regular season.
Another fun fact: the cornerbacks for the Chiefs were both rookies. The one that covered Devontae Smith and the one that covered AJ Brown were both rookies. This is their first season and their first playoff appearance or Super Bowl appearance.
Their whole secondary was almost all rookies.
Mm-hmm. I know this, man.
I know
Jason
what I told
Kelsey ended someone's life. A couple of guys' lives.
Dude.
There was
Well,
one of those little screens. He freaking ended that dang safety's life. Dude, he is a stud and a half, man.
Yeah, I
Playing
like-
center.
yeah, he's
You think he comes back?
Jay,
Yeah.
oof.
I think he does.
Hell, why not, man?
Why not? Because he's a big old boy who plays center, and he's already played like 10 years, and their shelf life's not very long as it is.
You know that man has been in 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah, he's only won one.
That if you think about it, that
He's
is
been there
lot
for a
of
long
people.
time. That's
Well,
what I'm
yeah.
saying. His
Yeah.
shelf life for centers or offensive linemen in general isn't that long.
Doesn't he have like a crazy stat of like consecutive games started or something?
Probably. Because he's a tough sucker, too, on top of
Yeah.
that.
I don't ever see him being out. I don't think that as long as I could remember, he has set a game out. As far as I
Right.
could remember.
Here's the only
Unless
thing
they
that scares-
benched him based off of playoffs.
True. Here's the one thing that scares me about Hurts, honestly, is how much they use him in the running game. And I know he's a big old boy and he's a big old thick guy, but in the NFL, eventually those hits to a quarterback are going to take its toll.
Weight room.
I understand that, but
You're talking
that
about
eventually
powerlifting
you're going to
coaches,
crack. You take enough of those shots, you're going to crack.
You're
I don't
talking-
disagree.
You're talking
You
about
know,
professional
that's why like traditionally running quarterbacks aren't great in the NFL just because everyone can run. And those hits, and you go and pay those guys big boy money, those
Mhm.
hits add up. And, it's not worth investing big boy money into those type of quarterbacks sometimes. That just, and
You
I
crazy,
get what
dog. Crazy,
Lamar
crazy.
and
Crazy. You're not going to invest big boy money into somebody who just took a team to the Super Bowl.
but what I'm saying is I don't think
Crazy.
him
Crazy.
like
Crazy.
he does, they use him.
Worst sports take I've heard. Crazy.
timeout.
And on top of that, he shredded them with his
Wow.
arm as well, not just on the ground.
Yeah, I understand that, but running him like they do, because he was their running game.
I mean, he had 2 1-yard rushes. When you're behind Jason Kelsey, quarterback sneak's going to work every time.
Well, I mean, he had 75 yards of
They
rushing.
were they
He also had
top of the line with
315
sneaks?
yards passing.
Well, yeah.
I mean, the man threw the ball more than he ran the ball.
Well, I know. I'm just saying he had 75 yards, counting the 2 touchdowns he got from the
Yeah.
1-yard line. That's a big stat for him running. I understand what Cletus is saying. Like a perfect example, you were a big Cam Newton fan, and we all were. We all love Cam Newton and what he did for the NFL because he created what we're seeing now with the quarterback being an athlete instead of a pocket presence. So he's saying that Jalen Hurts is going to be a dude in Philly, and they're going to do what they need to keep him. But his body isn't the same after a game where he gets beat, gets hit 75 times, or he runs what? He ran 8 times for 75 yards or whatever the heck it was. Well, in 8 runs, those are 8 plays he's getting hit instead of being protected by that line. And that's a beat down on quarterbacks, even if you're weight room. I mean, he's a specimen. They're all quarterbacks in the NFL are specimen right now. I mean, we're seeing some of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen. in the history of the game. And there's no
young guys.
question that they can run. There's no question this, but the question is, can they keep this quarterback counter, quarterback GT, quarterback power, quarterback stuff running with him and keep him healthy? Because he went out for the last 4 weeks of the year with the shoulder injury. Well,
he did get hurt. Yes, I mean, I understand what he's saying, but to say that you wouldn't pay him even if he's been 5 years in the league is ridiculous.
They'll pay him
because the man can shred you with his arm just the same.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be up there just like every quarterback when it comes for him to sign a deal that he's gonna get his money because I think he's that good of a player.
Yeah,
he's better than Dak Prescott.
Yes, agreed. Agreed.
I'm not even going to argue that one.
But,
I'm not trying to say wasn't throwing shots at the Cowboys, but like he's his third year in the NFL and he's better than Dak.
Agreed.
So also organization wise, I'm a Cowboys fan, you know this, but organization wise, the Eagles are doing it the right way because how many of their starters that played Sunday are drafted? Can you
all
tell
but
me
one.
that?
All but one.
Exactly. The Cowboys. How many of the Cowboys started?
Shout out to the AC Squared podcast. We said that.
Anyway,
touchdown Titans.
Anyway, so before we get rudely interrupted by a podcast that's irrelevant at the moment, I'm telling you, how many of the Cowboys are drafted?
I'm gonna guess probably 3.
No, there's three or four offensive linemen, the running back, quarterback, a receiver, tight end.
They got quite a bit.
They started to do it now, but the fact is the Eagles have been building this for a long time, and Jalen Hurts just came in and sealed the deal. I mean, they won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles as a backup quarterback. So the Eagles aren't pushovers, and I never said they were. I just cannot go for the Eagles. I mean,
to go back,
to.
Yeah, and it's tough for y'all to go for the Eagles. It's like if the 49ers would have made it.
But just to clarify, I did go for the Eagles. I said big brothers beat little brothers, but
and you were incorrect. Like I said, you would be.
Oh man!
Just to be fair, from the little brother. Just to be fair,
you still can't whoop me though.
Yeah, especially with those guns, right? Bang, bang, bang. Yeah. Hey, to go back real quick, what was the thing about the Eagles? He said all their players were drafted except one.
Yes.
On the offensive side of the
ball, all of them were drafted by the Eagles.
And y'all name what player wasn't?
It's AJ Brown.
Okay, well I wasn't asking you because you clearly already knew.
Cletus knows.
Cletus knows because they traded a piece of candy.
Fucking
the rapper.
Oh, by the way,
candy rapper.
Of the dumbass Titans, fucking they're which I'm thankful I saw this report. The Jets are looking to get Tannehill. I saw 2 2023 picks, and they were going to take all of his contract. Which I'm going.
I feel like the Jets are going to be on any conversation for any quarterbacks because I've seen them linked to Rodgers.
I feel like the Titans fucked themselves by adding Tannehill because he had one good season. I think the Titans get everything they deserve.
I agree. Ben, you are preaching to the choir. I was pissed when they signed that man to that big deal because historically he was an average quarterback, and you pay him like a big boy. He's not a big boy quarterback.
It still didn't help that they traded away all of his best pieces. There's weapons to throw the ball.
It didn't matter. You're a quarterback. You can make plays.
Yeah, but you
AJ Brown. That's it.
From AJ Brown to
everyone else. They lost because they wouldn't pay him. They wouldn't pay him.
You did lose an All-Pro left tackle as well. So for the second straight year. So that does make a big difference. I think that he probably will.
And I love Taylor Lewan. He's one of my favorite players in the league, but I can see him retiring or the Titans not picking him up again because
the Titans already owe him a lot of money, so I don't see them picking it up either.
Right.
Because if they release him, then they'll free up some cap space. If he stays, they'll have to talk about a deal because he gets paid
it's
$7-8 million a year. It's some ridiculous amount of money. He was the highest paid left tackle at the time when he signed his contract.
Right.
And he's only paid one full season since that contract.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like you said, it
Unfortunately.
was 2 years in a row, same knee, wasn't it? Same
Yeah,
ACL.
same knee. He tore his ACL on the same knee this year, and then last year he tore it like second game of the season. He hasn't played
Right. And
at all
That's
in
rough.
2 seasons, and he's
That's
a big
rough.
boy. I mean, he's
He is.
6'7", 300+ pounds. You know, he needs them
Yeah.
knees.
Yeah, it's rough to go back-to-back years of ACL injuries. That's tough.
So speaking of that, my question is for this. If you're a GM owner, what's your philosophy here, Mr. Cletus? I mean, what you doing? If you're the Tennessee Titans right now, you're the head honcho, VP of player operations, GM. You're building your team. What are you doing in Tennessee? Because they're just the city of Tennessee, just Nashville, just got you guys going to build you a brand new stadium out there.
Yep, you got to fill it. You gotta start up front. I think with the offensive line, but you got to draft a quarterback. You have to get a home run on a quarterback. The last franchise guy they had was Steve McNair.
What pick do y'all have?
That's the last.
R.I.P. R.I.P.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, and the Titans have picked in the top 5 2 to 3 times since 2000, and they missed on 2 quarterbacks: Vince Young, Jake Locker.
Mm-hmm.
They've missed. They missed a Corey Davis top 5 pick, and so they have to shore up the offensive line. If you're going to be a run the football, play great defense, because their defense kept them in games all year, and that's kind of
Right.
what Vrabel does. Is he does a good job of making sure that defense is sound. That defense has kept the Titans in games all year. Their offense couldn't freaking score damn touchdowns.
Right.
And that's
It didn't help. It didn't help when Henry went out hurt, and then you didn't have a
Right. And I
quarterback to
think the
throw it.
tread. I think that and Henry's still a beast, but I think the tread is starting to wear out a little bit on his tires too.
Well,
and
they
eventually
depend
happens.
Well,
they
what
depend
you-
on him too much, though.
Well, that and you got to break all the tackles in the world with your offensive line being hurt.
And he's getting hit a yard or two in the backfield. And 2 years ago, when we made that run to the conference championship game, he was getting hit 2 or 3 yards after the line of scrimmage.
Right.
So that being said, Mr. GM Cleet Knippa, who's the draft guy? Who's the guy you picking up in the draft for a defensive line or offensive lineman, or are you picking one that's in the draft, or it's going to be a free agent that's sitting here pretty in Tennessee?
I think a big.
Hold up before you answer. Cobbs, get ready. You're on the clock next.
Oh,
Wow.
man. I'm on it.
I think you got to look at 2 things. If Tannehill leaves, if they trade him, do you like Malik Willis enough to give him the keys to the car? Right? Because you drafted him in the 3rd or 4th round last year. So you're saying you like him, but he's super raw. So if you like him enough, do you give him the keys to the car? If you like him enough, you go get one of those top like tackles probably to replace Lawan, really. I think and that's what I think. And you got some weapons, but eventually that's been the Titan, in my opinion, that's been the Titans' last couple of years, is we just didn't have any weapons outside of Henry. AJ Brown was the only one, and he was super reliable, and we traded for a piece of candy.
It's almost like a Green Bay situation.
Yeah, and so I think offensive line. Now, I don't know who's in this draft class.
Come on, GM.
So, I mean, he brought up the Packers. If you're the Packers, what do? You move on from Aaron Rodgers, or you keep Aaron Rodgers if he so chooses after his little binger in the closet?
Right?
Let's say you drafted his replacement super high. Like, I think you have to.
They already did, guys. They drafted his replacement.
That's what I'm saying.
That was the whole fight he's having.
That's what we just said. We said they drafted his replacement, so you got to move on from him. If not, you're going to have a pissed off fan base. You just wasted a high draft pick for no reason. You're just letting the dude waste on the bench.
But are they?
But we talk about this all the time. History repeats itself.
So you're telling
they drafted Aaron Rodgers
early
at the same time. Brett Favre was in the area that he was in, and Brett Favre performed for 4, 5, 6 more years,
Mm-hmm.
and they never moved on until he retired.
That was my whole topic.
So
too. I was going to bring that up.
History technically they thought about would repeat itself, which coming from an outside standpoint, you're like, well, why would they draft another quarterback? Because the way that history fell, it worked for them.
Yeah.
Right.
How much? But Like as an organization, I agree with you on that. But as an organization, how much more do you deal? Like you put up with how, like I guess Aaron Rodgers kind of acts and whatnot with everything that's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to say like I don't know, like throwing fits and whatever he does, like just bashing stuff that goes on and stuff like that out in the media. How much longer do they put up with that until they say, hey, screw it, we're washing our hands with it, and we're going to start fresh and new with the new guy, whatever.
But,
I think it probably play out similar to how the whole Brett Favre thing ended.
I do think that he wants to leave, so I don't think that the Packers are going to have to make that decision. I think that he'll make it easy, but I'm just saying that the Packers, if you have a choice to keep him in the way that history has repeated itself, I think you just wait till he retires because he didn't have a bad year this year. He didn't have an MVP year, but he didn't have a bad year.
They were a game away from making the playoffs, guys. I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers.
And they had no weapon.
And nobody on that team.
Yeah,
So,
like
He's throwing to rookies.
Yeah, Watson, I mean, best weapon, and like you said, he's a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, we could sit here and say he's a diva or whatever the heck we want to say, but Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's going to perform.
The way he acts comes with the territory, though. Like how much he gets paid, all that kind of stuff. Like he's kind of built his way into like that diva mode, if you will. But they all kind of get to that point, because even Tom Brady was kind of a diva too, but not in that regard, if that makes sense. Like, but they all kind of get to that point where. And again, like he does stuff sometimes too, Aaron Rodgers, where it makes people hate him, but at the same time, like he's still a good football player. Yes, Adam.
So my comment on that is when Aaron Rodgers was first joining the league and he was first taking the league by storm, everybody was like, "How come Aaron Rodgers doesn't talk much? He's not in commercials. He's not doing this and that." Now he's doing it, and now everybody's like, "Oh, he's arrogant." Now why doesn't he show himself less? So like, what kind of guy are people looking for? They asked him to be in front of the camera. Showboat, show how talented he is. Now he's doing that, and now everybody's saying now he's just controversial. Now he's doing this. Now he's doing that. So like somebody who's coming from this, what are you looking for then? Yeah, you want somebody that is never going to be in front of the public eye, and then just constantly works, and then he gets told by everybody that he needs to be in the public eye. Gets in the public eye. Now he's saying he's controversial because he's in the public eye. So how does that work? Like he's never going to win.
Right. I think that's just normal. I think that's just normal media, like how it goes. Like the media is at first like, "Oh, talk more, blah blah blah. We want to know," and then they get to the point now where it's just like, all right, like they create their own little monster. If that makes sense.
It's like that. It's a perfect example of the movie Major League 2 with Charlie Sheen. Speaking of that, so like that's a good movie, and that's the perfect example of him having.
It is.
So shout out. I got a question. This goes on the top of the line. I mean, I think we can knock this out real quick. The question is superstar status. Why does media always look at the bad before they look at the good?
It's easy.
It's sales.
They're on a pedestal.
Like we just said, Adam just mentioned that before Aaron Rodgers entered the league, we always said Aaron Rodgers was too quiet. He didn't do that. Well, now he's here, and now we're calling him he wants out of Green Bay. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he does. Like the whole thing with Derek Carr. Like, I mean, that thing's just
Derek Carr should have never been on a pedestal. That boy is a garbage can just like his brother. Get that shit out of here. Get that out of here. The only good thing Derek Carr ever did for the Raiders was bring Devontae Adams. That's it. His numbers have been mediocre. But get him out of here.
He was don't even put him in this. He was in the MVP race 2 years ago. What are you talking about?
Yeah, with a losing record. Tell me how well that works for you.
You're still in the MVP race. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. So tell me, we're going on to Derek Carr. Where's Derek Carr going? And is he going to be better?
The house. That's where he's going.
I don't think so. I mean,
he'll probably get picked up by like the Jets or some garbage can like that.
Yeah.
Well, the Titans.
The Jets.
If they get rid of Tannehill.
The Texans.
The Jets are linked with like every quarterback.
The Texans? Oh, Lord. Following his brother's footsteps for real.
That's the talk.
You're in there for the Cards.
But so think about. But what if they do get like you give Derek a reviving career and give him a coordinator that's actually pretty good that can help him? Do you think he can do well? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and bash him. I think so. I mean, like for a perfect example, the perfect example of the NFL. I'm going to bash the Rammies real quick. So the year they loved up on Sean McVay because he was a genius. He was the new smart guy in the NFL. Well, the NFL is a copycat league. They caught people and they caught his tendencies and they beat him. Well, that tendency caught on week per week, and then he had to change his ways in order to win and get to playoffs, and they lose second round or third round, wherever it was, because of the scheming. So I'm saying all this to say I sound like a coach.
Like senior, man.
Anyway, but I'm saying all this because the Rams had to adjust in order to change to get better, and they did. They literally cleaned house and got people that helped them win a championship. But the NFL is a copycat league, so if you pick up Derek Carr and you put him in another organization where like a perfect example would be the Chargers. The Chargers started out hot with Joe Lombardi. They started out hot, real hot. Justin Herbert was slinging the thing around, and then as the year got on, what happened?
Yeah,
what happened? They declined. Because why?
No offensive line. That's why.
They still almost beat the dang Jaguars. I mean,
I'm not worried about that. Jaguars also have a better offensive line. You asked me. Unless that was a rhetorical question, they had a horrible offensive line.
Oh, yes, but you also
not everybody out here, Joe Burrow, can throw that bitch. Not everybody.
The Bengals had a terrible O-line too, and they fixed it and they got better as the year going on. Because why? They changed their scheme. They changed their coaching. They changed things to get them better. Is all I'm saying. If you pick up a quarterback that is decent and he's going to change his ways. Like example, in Dallas, they got an OC that might help make Dak a game manager and try to play instead of being a playmaker. Because Dak's not a playmaker, he's a game manager. He's an Alex Smith 2.0. And if they do that in Dak's world, the Cowboys will be a better team. But until then, they're going to be irrelevant and lose to the Eagles and the Giants and the Commanders, Redskins, whatever the heck they're called. Or next week, they might be called something different. But I'm telling you, it's going to come down to coaching at the bottom line of the NFL. As we can see, you come out of halftime, you're up by 10 points against the Kansas City Chiefs. You're complacent. You think you got them beat, and you come back after halftime, 4 possessions, 4 touchdowns. That's called coaching and players. That's what that is. And that's what I'm telling you. You could take Derek Carr out of here and put him anywhere. You could put him in Kansas City, and he might be successful because they're going to use him as what they think his tools are. You're going to use him. And I think that's a lot of quarterbacks right now. And that's like Dak's not a playmaker. He's a game manager.
I agree with a lot of quarterbacks. I disagree with Derek Carr. He's a Jameis Winston at best. He's like, somebody down there somewhere, I'm going to throw this bitch. That's what he does. And that's why Jameis Winston does not work in this league. Yes, he threw 40 touchdowns, but he threw 28, almost 30 interceptions in the same season. He got benched by Andy Dalton after he got hurt. They decided that Andy Dalton was better than him.
Don't be hating on redheads, man.
He's a garbage can as well.
I don't care. Guess what?
He's a backup at best.
Hey, that's fine. He played in the league for a long time. He's still playing.
I still think Derek Carr is better than most quarterbacks.
That's what I'm saying. I think so too. You
got to give the guy his weapons to do it. If you're going to create a game manager, you have to give him weapons. I mean, if you don't, does it? What we're talking about literally doesn't matter because in the end, if he ain't got nobody to throw to, and he ain't got nobody to help him out, it's trash, and it's always going to fall on the quarterback, even if it's not his fault.
Yes, I agree.
Bring him to the Cowboys.
Stereotype.
Like that's all I'm saying. You got to get the help the man he needs. Like you think Denver, another example of Denver. The coaching in Denver was trash. Coaching was trash, and they made Russell Wilson to be this great quarterback with no weapons, and his offensive coach wasn't existent. So how are you expecting an MVP type player to be an MVP if you don't give him help or the genius or the smarts to get him to be at that level? I mean, that's why. I mean, coaches don't get enough credit for what they do in that level, but they deserve it. I mean, there's some of the best in the world are out there, and like to me, Denver could have been a heck of a lot better if they had different offensive philosophies with working with Wilson. Like for example, in Baltimore, they changed their whole offense for Lamar Jackson because the coordinator did it for Lamar Jackson, and they were successful with it. And then when they got everybody caught up to what they were doing, what'd they do? Joshua, can you tell me that? They cleaned house. So,
I will say I hate Pete Carroll, but he's a great coach.
You're talking about coaches. How about Shanahan and Purdy? Like, look what he did with a third string quarterback that was Mr. Irrelevant in the draft. I mean,
Mr. Irrelevant, yeah.
Impressive. I mean, you got to give Purdy his props because clearly he's a good player. But like you said, like I agree with you completely. Like what you said is coaching had to happen for him to be out of nowhere, all of a sudden I got to step in the limelight and, I don't know what he had, like a 7-game win streak or whatever the crap it was.
Yeah, he was like 7-0 till he got beat in the playoffs, 8-0 or some shit like that.
And truthfully, like if he doesn't get hurt, like it's a game.
Yeah.
I think that's a way better
it
game.
definitely goes. I think it definitely goes hand in hand, especially coaching and the quarterback, because I think there's a couple incidents where it's not necessarily true or they don't needs to be lined up, like and you take Tom Brady, and you can probably he probably doesn't have as much success with without some of the guys he's had in his career, OC wise and Bill Belichick and stuff like
Bruce
that.
Arians. All I'm saying is Bruce Arians helps his career in Tampa.
No, absolutely. No, I'm just saying.
So did the talent around him, but I'm talking
Yes.
about when he was with the Patriots. He had one All-Pro receiver in his 20-year tenure there that he didn't make an All-Pro receiver, and that was Randy Moss.
Yeah, but he was already made before he got there.
That's when he had his best year ever, right? Brady had his.
Yeah.
That was their undefeated season until they got beat in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that's like a. But I will say when he went to Tampa Bay, they did help him.
Yeah, but he always had solid players in New England. When he had Wes Welker and Danny Amendola and Deion Branch and those guys, like they might have not been, all pro guys or guys that are going to make Hall of Fames one day or whatnot, but they were still better than what most quarterbacks could possibly have over the course of a career.
Yeah, no doubt.
I will say that the Raiders did have a lot of injuries this year, so I'm not going to take that away from them because Hunter Renfro's a fantastic route runner and he was hurt. Devontae Adams still is going to do Devontae Adams things, which we already knew he was going to do. I mean,
right.
Darren Waller was hurt half the season himself.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
it's crazy for him. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the NFL offseason in terms of where Carr's going to go, what Rodgers' move's going to be. Teams are going to be quarterback hungry, so Jets are going to always be linked for somebody or whatnot. It's going to be interesting to see where some of these guys fall. I'm going to be excited to see how the draft shapes out with guys there. Because who's going to be the one that takes a chance and gets Bryce Young and all these
Young
other
going to Houston.
Ryan
and Kingsbury.
that boy D'Amico Ryan was a good coach.
I think so too.
Yeah.
He's had 4 of the greatest linebackers that have played the game in the last
he's also
10
in a
years.
situation.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm talking about he had Patrick Willis, he had Navarro Bowman. He molded those guys, and then he got Fred Warner. He's turned these Chad Greenlaw. He's turned these not Chad Greenlaw, but he's turned these
John Lynch, baby.
Was he coaching in the 49ers when Willis was there?
He was towards the end of their tenure. Yeah.
Okay.
He was one of the assistants on there.
Okay, I didn't know if he was still in the league when Willis was playing because that was ages ago.
He played for the Texans. So.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm just saying like the time frame of when he stopped playing and started coaching. Like I didn't know if that was because it felt like Willis was in the league like a decade ago.
Right.
It was a while, but he played pretty long into his career as well.
Right.
Hey, did y'all? And I know y'all saw it. And sorry, shifting because my brain just started thinking about this. The Big 12, that schedule release. What was it, like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago when they released everything, like officially, right?
2 weeks ago.
Was it 2 weeks ago? And my favorite thing about the whole thing was like everyone made these really nice graphics. Then the 2 teams who are leaving in next year just retweet the schedule.
Well, they don't care. They're about to go get curb stomped.
Shoot, man, those 2 teams they're gone. What is that buyout?
$50 million a piece.
Is that it? Just 50?
Yes. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, that's one thing that we're gonna. That's
one
of the questions we have.
For those two schools, that's chump change.
Yeah, especially what they're going to be paid in the SEC in the future. But
do you think that they stand a chance in the SEC
I was gonna.
That's the next episode.
I'm about to say because we can talk a long time for that one.
I just want a one-word answer. That's it. Yes or no. That's it.
Are
And
they
then
going to be?
we can discuss it further at a different time.
Not at this moment.
I say over the course of their longevity, they'll compete.
Not right now. They should, in my opinion. Texas should, but they won't.
No, they won't right now. I agree with you.
I was about to say I'll give you the not right
I-
now, but I'm
I
not
hope
going to
they
say ever.
I hope they both burn to the freaking ground.
Wait, I figured you'd be happy the UT&M rivalry's back.
I really don't give two craps, but yeah, it's
We just don't
it's
want to
nice
get boned
beat
by
that ass
Texas
again.
like he used to. That's all it is.
Wow.
Dang. I didn't say it just now.
Yeah, so I think we can talk about that next week in our next episode and go a little bit more into detail because that's
Yeah.
something that
I just wanted the
would
one
like
word
to touch
answer
on
since
more.
it was brought up.
I think right off the bat they'll struggle with the adjustment, but I think over the course of time that they'll be able to compete
They should
and
be
be
able
okay.
They'll
Right.
compete in basketball for sure.
Basketball they'll compete. Baseball they'll be okay. Football I think it's going to take some time to adjust. SEC. I think they'll get there.
Maybe not.
Anyways, so a couple things here. I know we quickly went from talking about the Super Bowl all the way till talking about SEC stuff. So, but one thing I also put together because it was something that Jack had put together on our list, and if for our viewers that don't know, Jack is he's like our script writer, if you will, our not producer, but I would just say our
Just
writer.
a producer. That's what he is.
Nah, he's a script writer. He's a writer.
I would say our script writer.
He's our designer and our writer.
Yeah, you know,
He's
he
going to
does all
design
that.
everybody bro tanks. So everybody be ready. Whenever
Yes.
you're ready,
Oh,
we're going to have a giant ass logo,
Yeah, so
Hawaiian
for,
bro
and we're going to have a
tanks.
bunch of bro tanks for sale.
They're gonna all be
Yeah.
Hawaiian too, so just be ready for that.
yeah, get ready to show off the gun, right? So anyway, so like I said, Jack is our writer. So like every week is when he writes up our episode for our ideas and stuff like that. And so one of the things that he wrote up on it was, I guess he was talking about best NFL draft classes of all time. Um, so I went and did some research to see because I obviously knew some off the top of my head, but I went and wrote down 5. Right, so I'm going to share them with you guys, and we can reflect on them afterwards, or you can give your 2 cents if you will. But first off, it's the draft class of 1983. Hold up, Adam, you got something?
No, I'm counting
okay.
it out.
Okay, so draft class of 1983 is John Elway, Dan Marino, Jim Kelly, Eric Dickerson, Bruce Matthews, etc. That class had 7 Hall of Famers come out of it, and 41 players have that became future Pro Bowlers, which is the highest out of all draft classes. Draft class of 1996. That's where Ray Lewis, Jonathan Alden, Marvin Harrison, Terry T.O., Keeson Johnson, Joe Horn, Zach Thomas, etc. came out of that class. I remember reading about that one, 96. Not quarterback friendly, or there wasn't really good quarterbacks, but it was definitely the class of receivers and inside linebackers. Draft of 1981, we had Lawrence Taylor, Ronnie Lott, Mike Singletary, Chris Collinsworth, Howie Long, etc. Oh, excuse me. Draft of 96, there were 6 Hall of Famers and counting from that class so far. Draft of 81, there were 8 Hall of Famers from that class. Draft of 2001, Michael Vick, LaDainian Thompson, Richard Seymour, Steve Hutchinson, Dan Morgan, Reggie Wayne, Steve Smith, etc. There's 3 Hall of Famers and counting. And then, of course, the last one was the draft of 2004. Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, Big Ben, Larry Fitzgerald, Sean Taylor, Vince Wilfork, Steven Jackson, etc. And at the moment, no Hall of Famers, but I'm pretty sure there will be several that come out of that one.
Quarterback.
Vince
class.
Wilfork was in that class.
Yeah.
I did not realize that he
Yeah.
was in that draft class.
So, like, obviously being a big Kane fan, like that 01 to
That was the year of the
04
Kane.
era,
Like
where
that's why I didn't
all
put them in
those
the debate
Kane-
because that was the year of the greatest team of all time is that
Yeah,
01
that's when they all
Canes.
started
That's why I
coming
didn't put it
through.
in that.
Yeah, that's when they started coming through. But I thought it was pretty cool looking through all that and seeing the names and stuff and whatnot. Of course, you can go on and on with names if you wanted
To be continued, though. All those 18 and 19 are coming up,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I don't know if y'all had any take from that, anything y'all were surprised or anything like that. Obviously, like the draft of 1983 is special because of Elway, Marino, Kelly, stuff like that.
Mm,
This one's for John.
yeah,
But I
not
thought
really. But you
Good
just,
job, Josh. That's good
Yeah.
stuff.
It's pretty.
I would
Good.
have to just agree with all of that.
Yeah, Mr.
yeah, it's
Status.
pretty
I don't
cool.
I don't have a debate on that.
No, I'm not necessarily looking for debate. Just throwing stuff out there, and I guess if you had to go through and pick a class that was your favorite or the best class of all time, I guess if we wanted to make it a debate, um, I don't know, it's tough. Like
You
I
almost
think
need
we all fit into the younger generation, so like we didn't ever
are we
really get to
talking like
watch.
2000 up?
Yeah, I would feel like that would be like those guys. Like we got to watch Michael Vick play and all that kind of stuff, but we weren't necessarily obviously around to watch Lawrence Taylor or like we were around for Elway and them, but it was at the tail end of their career. You know what I mean?
Madden 05 with Michael Vick.
it was greatness.
Get on the sticks.
All you
Yeah.
do is just run in circles,
Yeah.
Exactly.
circles, and then beat the sideline.
Uh,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
pretty
when you
cool.
do this draft class, like if you're trying to figure out who, I don't know, the best draft class and all that, you almost have to break it up. Like especially if you're going to you know, I don't know, make your case off of like Hall of Famers and All Pros and all that. You got to break it up in sections. Like you can't put them all together just because of like what you were just talking about with Phillip Rivers and all that. They haven't got to the point where they're on the ballot and all that stuff.
and and to me, you almost have to. My bad. To me, you almost have to like look at it like where these guys were drafted at. You
Right.
know, how many were top 10? How many were in the second round? How many were in the freaking sixth round that turned out to be dudes?
Almost turns into like just decade teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
No,
decade.
it's just curious. You can break it down by position too, or whatever. But the Hall of Fame thing is kind of hard to like narrow it down because unless football were to completely come to a stop, it's always going to be something that's continuously going on and whatnot. But it's just kind of cool to see. Like obviously, I think out of the five we just talked about, if we looked at them and be like, all right, which class had the best quarterbacks come through? And you have to say, well, that's 1983 because they had Dan Marino, John Elway, Jim Kelly, who all became Hall of Famers. You know what I mean? Now, I'm sure Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, and Big Ben will eventually get there too. So you can throw that class um, up there in terms of best draft class of quarterbacks. But uh, I think '96 with Ray Lewis and all them receivers, Thomas. I think that's a class that's pretty special, right?
That's the class we're at in right now. That's the one Zach Thomas has made it. So shout
Yeah,
out to Zach Thomas. Wreck 'em.
yeah. About time Zach Thomas made it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Did y'all see? Was it Dion? He was getting interviewed about like the Hall of Famers, and he's like, I think it was I think it was Dion. It's like we got to vote. We know who the Hall of Famer is and who's not. So
right,
you let the sports writers select them, and we, the guys in that room, need to vote because they're starting to let anyone in.
That's kind of like obviously it's not football, but like I watched I guess it was ESPN six, E60 or whatever the heck they call it, or it could have been a 30 for 30 on Barry Bonds. And I know it's baseball, but it's like Hall of Fame talk is they talk about the same thing, like Rosenthal and all those dudes that are big in baseball. They talk about how like some of like Barry, Bonds didn't get all these votes and all that stuff, whatever. That's a whole nother topic, but he talks about that too in that E60 about how they're just letting anybody and everybody vote. And it's like, where do you cut this off at? Because it's getting outrageous because people don't even know anymore.
right. It needs to be like a select few that have the ability to cast a vote for Hall of Fame. Like they have criteria that you have to meet, all that kind of stuff before.
You have to take a test.
Yeah, Hall of Fame test, perfect.
Hey, I say that I vote the logistics guy gives a test.
Right?
Hey, I could battle with the best of them on some sports talk.
Yeah, you could. All right. So moving into our last segment here, our final act. So we're wrapping this stuff up. As always, we got our stat of the week. If anybody's got a motivational quote of the week, feel free to share it anytime. As we close down the DBA podcast for tonight. So I came across a couple of stats I thought were really interesting. The first one was last Wednesday, so last week. The UConn's women basketball team lost back-to-back games for the first time since 1993. I thought that was kind of crazy. Obviously, we all know that they have a great program there in University of Connecticut, but to lose
Gino.
back-to-back since '93, it's a long time for that to occur. So I thought that was pretty cool for stat number one. And then stat number two was that since the creation of the college football playoff, the average margin of victory in the semifinal round is 21.1 points. So not very close. And then on top of that, when I got the stat, it has the records of each seed broken down. So in the history of the playoff, right, number one seed has been 6-2. So obviously the fourth seed has been 2-6, while the second and third seeds are both 4-4. So pretty competitive there. In the national championship game, so get this, the number one seed is 2-4. The number two seed is 3-1. The number three seed is 1-3, and the number four seed is 2-0.
So what? Georgia both times number one seed that won it all. Is that right? Because Bama won is like a 4 or 3.
Because Georgia won back to back this year.
And they were both number ones both years, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is interesting.
Because Alabama was the number 2 seed, I believe, when they won.
Didn't they sneak in one year as a 4 and won it all?
I believe that is also accurate. I'm not a statistician or anything, but I believe that is accurate.
Yeah, I have to go back and look. But I thought it was pretty cool how they had the breakdown and whatnot. And it's going to be interesting as they expand it to what?
8 teams, 16, 8 teams.
I thought it was
18 or 12.
I thought it was 12.
It's 12 teams.
It needs to be 16. I get 4 weeks.
Was it 12? Yeah, it is 12. Oh.
There's 12 teams, yeah.
All right, here we go. Here's the quote of the week. Think about it. All right. A person who feels appreciated will always do more than expected.
Interesting.
True.
I like it.
Like it. Repeat it one more time.
Say it louder for the people in the back. A person who feels appreciated will always do more than expected.
Amen. Amen. All right, fellas. So that's a great quote to end the episode this week. Obviously, when you show people, obviously, that you care about what they're doing, they're going to make them work that much harder at what they're doing. But anyways, boys, again, thank you for being on the show tonight. We are blessed and honored, as always, for our listeners to chime in and listen to us talk about sports and whatever else is going on in our lives. So, sorry if I sound a different way, under the weather, but I promise I'll be good next week. Anyways, it's the DBA Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you again next Wednesday.
College baseball.